Hey guys, it's Miss Truelove with you just for another day, for another lesson. Today we're going to be covering a subject that we actually had a good many people that were scoring low on this area on their TABE. It's not one of the top 10, but it's definitely worth a mention and a lesson on. And it's verbs and verb tenses. And we're just going to cover them. There's many different kinds of verb tenses, and we're not going to get in. Definitely not going to go into it as deep as many different lessons do. We're just going to cover what's called simple verses. We're not going to get into the more complex ones because, for the sake of what we're doing for the TABE, it doesn't require that. So we're just going to hit what we need, get that. So let's learn them so we don't feel tensed. I was trying to be funny there. Didn't work very well. I'm sorry. But verb tenses, let's cover them. Let's just learn them so that we can just move on, move on to maybe something more fun. So when we're talking about verb tenses, we have three different tenses. We have our past, our present, and our future tenses. And like I said, for the sake of our lessons, those are the only tenses that we'll be covering. Like I said, other lessons go into some more when they talk about perfect and, oh my goodness, all the other different tenses. We're not going there. So if you've learned those in the past and you know them, good for you. But this is all we're going to be required to learn for this course, okay? So a tense of a verb is what tells us when an action takes place. Like the boy walks to the dorm, the boy walked to the dorm, and the boy will walk to the dorm. The first one tells us that it's happening in the present. He's walking there right now. The second one said the boy walked. That happened in the past. And then the boy will walk. That's talking about he's going to walk there in the future. That's just a very quick example of how you would see these different tenses in your reading and in your writing. So first we're going to look at the present tense. The present tense of a verb names an action that happens regularly. It's happening now, and also can express a general truth. So when we look at the present tense of a verb, it's the base form of the verb before any endings or anything is added to it. Also, but when a subject is a singular noun, such as he or she or it, you usually are going to add an S to the verb. For example, she runs. We wouldn't say she run. You know, it just doesn't make any sense. And then we have the verb be. The present tense of the verb be differs from the base form. We have, instead of, we would say I am, or he, she, or it is, or we, you, or they are. And that's just the verb be. So on this slide here, we have just some examples of how you would use present tense verbs. We have some singular verbs and some plural verbs. And we can see, like, if you say, I visit, the plural form would be we visit. You see, like, if we mention you visit, it's also the same in the plural. Like, you guys visit. You know, it's the same as for more than one. And then we have he, she, or it visits. You would say they. Over here on the right side of the screen, you see just a little chart. It talks about some usages for the present tense verbs. And I'm not going to go over reading all those for you, but you know, sometimes there's just nice little handy charts to help us to know how to use other words and how to create and build your sentences in a more accurate way and to represent your verb tenses. Now we're going to talk about our past tense verbs. Our past tense verbs have already happened. They're an action that happened in the past. to form past tense verbs, you add ed to the base of a verb, such as play would be our base verb form. If we want to say it happened in the past, we'd say they played, or walk, and then we added ed to the end, walked. So we're got a little chart over here of some past tense verb. Most verbs we just add ed, like play and played. Visited becomes visited. Mix become mixed. Talked become talked. Finish become finished. Crash becomes crashed. Share becomes shared. Carried becomes carried. You'll notice with when the word ends in a y, oftentimes when you're forming that past tense, you have to change the y to an I, and then you add the ed. That's what at the top of the box you'll see this red writing. Sometimes you have to change the y to an I to form the verb tense. And the same, so carried and cried are two examples of those. But then we have some verb tenses that are irregular, and it just doesn't. I mean, that's what makes learning the English language so difficult, is because there's always these other rules. Sometimes that just make learning the rule sets difficult. So we have some that are irregular, like bring. The past tense is brought. Tell is told. Teach is taught. You wouldn't say, you teached me that, which I've heard that. Or we wouldn't say we win the game. We would say we won the game. And do and did. Run and ran. Go, this is one of the more peculiar, is went. Drink and drank. And then we had make and made. Sometimes the words just totally change. And then we have some where the verbs just stay exactly the same. We have hit and hit, like or cost and cost. Put and put, hurt and hurt, quit and quit. Those examples, so sometimes, it's just finding those rules. I always think if you're in doubt, a good place to go visit is something we talked about in some previous lessons, is looking at our dictionaries or or look it up on your phone, so that especially when you're doing formal writing, you want to make sure you're using the correct verb tense. Because if you went into job interview and you're going to tell them, I told you something, they're going to think that you're not very bright. And you need to know that you need to tell them you told them something, or I'm telling you something. You need to make sure you're using the correct tenses of those verbs. And then we're going to look in the future. She's got the little girl over here. She's got her crystal ball. She's telling us the future. The future tense of a verb names an action that will take place in the future. The tense is formed by using will or shall with the simple form of the verb. For example, the president will finish his term in 2020. Now, we're not going to get into a political thing here, because I'm not saying this is the end for Donald Trump or the beginning for someone else. It was just a sentence that I copied off of a lesson in the book. So the president will finish this current term in 2020. He may be in here for another term and he may not. But in this sentence, we can see that we have will in front of the verb finish, and that shows that it's going to happen in the future. If we were going to say that he finished it, we would say the president finished his term in 2020. If you want him to be gone, that will happen later down the road. But for right now, the president will finish his term in 2020. I was getting stressed on that last slide, y'all. I have to move away from politics. Okay, the future tense can also be expressed by using I am or are with going to. For example, the surgeon is going to perform the first bypass in Birmingham. And so you could say, I am going to learn about verbs. That's talking about something you're going to be doing in the future. So, I mean, you could put that going to, and that will express the future tense. This was a quick and very concise lesson on the verb tenses. Now, if you go and you start looking up and researching some other things and get into some of these other verb types, and you're going to just go, because it's a little bit mind-boggling, because there's for each of these tenses, there's 3 other conditions or types that would go with each of these tenses. So there's actually 9 different verb tenses that you could learn, but we're only going to cover the 3 so that we don't lose, so I don't lose all my hair or turn gray by the end of this video. Trying to make it the best for you to have you succeed in life and on the table. And so let's stick to the basics for the time being. And in your life, if in the future you want to study verb tenses and get into something, if you just run out of things to watch on Netflix, verb tenses. If you just want to impress somebody, and you want to, learn some verb tenses. But for this lesson, let's just call it done. Be finished with it. I'm going to be posting, as always, lessons on iExcel. You can also, you can find that information on the Google Classroom. If you have questions, if you want to email me, you can reach me at truelove.catherine@jobcorps.org. You can email me at reading1gjcc@gmail.com. There's always the Job Corps Facebook page at Gadsden Bulldogs. You can shoot me a message there. Or if there's just somebody there at the center that you know your counselor or somebody else that that could point you in the direction of if you need to contact me, just contact them and they'll point you into my direction. If you're just a little bit stressed, and this is hard times, if you just need someone to talk to, hey, that's what we're all here for. We need to be in this together. So if you just need an ear, that's fine too. So just, I've always believed in, if somebody needed to talk to me, the door was open. And so the door is still open to you guys. If you're struggling with some verbs, I'll help you with those too. They're not my favorite thing. You guys are my favorite thing, because I miss you. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope I can see you soon. And be blessed. Be good. I don't want to call names, but there's some of you. But anyhow, still love you. Talk to you soon. Bye.